Good morning, everyone. My name is Cadet Robinson, and today we'll be doing our first ever DET 172 podcast. Valdosta State officers a unique opportunity of having a podcast room, so we decided we should start making more use of this. About a year ago, we also had another unique opportunity of having four enlisted commissioning program students come down here to Valdosta State. So today we want to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, talk about the application process, talk about a little bit about themselves and their experience here now at Valdosta State, DET 172, and just overall share their experiences and give advice to any future applicants that might want to come through to this program. So first we'll be going through introductions. We're going to start left to right. Cadet Graham, can you give me who you are, where you're from, your prior career field, and your years served?
My name is Cadet Graham. I'm from Albany, Georgia. I am a maintainer by trade, 2MO, and I served 4.5 years active duty.
Yeah, so I'm Cadet Heath. I'm also a maintainer, so aerospace ground equipment. I'm from Camden, Maine, and I served a few days under 4 years, so just shy of 4 years, and I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan.
All right, my name is Cadet Caden Robinson. I'm from Savannah, Georgia. My prior career field is 2T1 ground trans, and you're served a little bit around 3.5 years, three years 8 months, and yeah, Cadet Twitty.
I'm Cadet Twitty, so military family, so I kind of been moving around a lot, but I consider Valdosta my home. And then I was in contracting, 6 Charlie, for about 3 years, like literally a few days over 3 years.
Okay, so actually, can we go back and just say what scholarship you guys were awarded?
Yeah. So I was awarded the ASCP scholarship, Airman Scholarship and Commissioning Program.
Yeah, I did SOAR, so Scholarships for Outstanding Airmen, ROTC.
And I was ASCP as well, and so was Cadet Twitty. And can we just talk about a little bit like what was the application process for you guys at different bases, having to communicate with different units, and just trying to get the process done?
Yeah. So for me, I started my process kind of early. So, to start, I was up in Minot, North Dakota for 4.5 years. No one there knew anything about the programs, so I had to do a lot of the information seeking on my own. But it was a simple process for me just because I started so early.
Yeah, so like I said, I was stationed in Japan, so a little bit different being overseas. I think similar to Cadet Graham, there wasn't a lot of information out there. I had to sort of reach out to people. One thing that really helped me was getting information from previous airmen that had done the same program, so I could get their application package and sort of go off that. But yeah, I think being in Japan, the biggest thing, or overseas in general, is the time difference and just trying to communicate with people back here in the States, cadre from DET 172. Just that time difference kind of made it difficult. Took a little more time to get things done, but
yeah. I kind of have the same story as Cadet Graham. I pretty much, I want to say I started working on the package, or at least the points for the package, around 2-3 years early. I didn't start reaching out to people till a year early, but actually like building the package, I started hitting the ground running with that. So I had Cadet Graham's mindset as well, just start earlier to keep it less stressful. And what about you, Cadet Twitty?
So I had the mindset of kind of going the OTS route originally. When I first came in, I always had that in mind, kind of what I was working towards. I actually started my bachelor's like pretty quick when I first came in, knocked out my CDC so I could try to get that down. And I was really rushing things, and I met someone at my unit who talked to me about the different ECP programs. And I never really knew about them specifically. Like I knew AFROTC was a thing, and whenever anyone talked about like anything outside like ECP, I always thought it was just like regular AFROTC, like you get out and then you do the 4 years. But I looked into it and found out more information about the different programs, and yeah, it is a grind because no one knows about it. And I actually got deployed right when I was looking at putting my package together, and so I also had to deal with that time gap. And I literally spent like I'd work And then I'd stay up like 6 hours after working still at the job, trying to communicate with my unit back home, trying to put the package together. And it was a lot, but yeah.
That sounds stressful. Yeah, I was about to, go ahead.
So the process could be a lot different for different people. I had no college credits going into this at all, except my college credits from basic training. And so my process started, it took me about 2.5 years to get here from the day that I started taking college classes.
Facts.
So it could be different depending on how much credits you already have.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, it seems like a year is like the minimum time it takes to get everything put together for the package, right? So for those out there who want to do this, a year at least, maybe more, to get everything together.
I would say a year if you have college credits.
Yeah, I had some, and it took me a year.
Yeah.
So
Because there's also you can't just CLEP your way to the college credit minimum. You actually have to have a GPA going into the program. So that was also just, I thought I could just, I'm just going to go study for a whole bunch of CLEPs. And then, nope, started reading it more. Got shot down. But Cadet Heath, you said something interesting. You said you got packages from other people. Can you say how you, or what was that from?
yeah, so one of my friends who's also in the Air Force, he was kind of my mentor through this whole process because he was applying for OTS at the same time. So he was kind of doing the same thing. And I was struggling to find what I needed in my package. I was getting different information from different sources saying I needed different things, and I was just very confused. And he came up with the idea. He actually did it for me at first. He looked up previous people selected for SOAR and ASCP, and he found someone from Kadena Air Base, which is where I was, who had just done it the year prior and got selected. Just sent them an email, asked for their package, sent it. That person sent it to him. He sent it to me. And so from there, I reached out to probably 2 or 3 people and got their previous packages so I could take my information and just reference it off theirs, which was very helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that raises another good question. How did everybody else find out about this? You said you did like self-research, right?
A friend in the unit, but I also did the same thing that Cadet Heath did. There was like a Facebook commissioning mentorship page. That's where I got a lot of good information. And they recently actually took down the messenger group, unfortunately, but the page still exists, so you can still put things out there and ask for people's packages, and people are always willing to send it.
Yeah.
So
I had to make a Facebook. I never had a Facebook until I tried to get a package.
I just want to give a brief shout out to Captain Wallace. He's our cadre here at DET 172. He's very active in that group chat, and I had been talking to Captain Wallace for about 2 years before I actually got here.
Yeah.
Every time I asked a question in that Facebook group chat that Cadet Twitty just asked about, he answered every time. And that's pretty much how I got all of my confusion out the way. If I had any questions, I would just ask in that group chat, and he had the answer every time. So
does he remember you from?
I don't think so.
From
but
the,
he talks to me a lot in that group.
Wow.
chat.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah, I had the same thing. Mine was really just a lot of self-research. I don't know how. I didn't know about officer until I joined. Was getting ready for BMT or MEPS, and I don't know how I found out about it, but like ever since I saw the program, like at tech school, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
Like that was just it. That was the main goal. So that's really how I found it out. I found it out really early.
And if I could, just like two things in regard to the program. So first, when you're doing your research, there's going to be things that like you run into. Mm-hmm. So for me, I applied for, and just off the bat, you can apply for all these programs at the same time. So ASCP, the POCRP, the SOAR, like you can apply for all of them at the same time, which is very, highly encouraged to do, increase your chances. Second, when it comes to the schools, so credits work differently at different schools. So for me, I applied for ASCP at this university that I'm at right now, but I also applied for POCRP at a school up in New Hampshire, which is where I was originally taking classes when I was trying to boost it to go to OTS. They were online classes. And so when I gave my credits to this school, they didn't accept them all. So I actually finished about 2 years of school, but because of the credit transfer, it would have been a 3-year program, which is what I'm in right now. So just make sure you're cognizant of like the credit difference in universities.
Twitty makes a good point. So he started off with tips for the package. So that's actually what our next question was going to be. What are your tips when building your package for these ECP programs?
Well, I'll start. Really, my only tip is be proactive. Don't sit back and expect people to give you the answers. You have to go and find those answers, and just make sure you're on top of everything. Don't be last minute. Yeah, that's really it. Being proactive will get you there.
Cadet Heath?
Yeah, so similar to what Cadet Graham just said, I would say time management, right? Being on top of your stuff, having it done, starting things way ahead of what you think you need to start them, so that way it's either begun or you're completed it and you can continue to fix it and get corrections on it. Also, I would say it starts, if this is something you want to do, I think it starts earlier in your career. I think how you build up your package begins as soon as you join the Air Force. Your work ethic, how you do at your job, your PT scores, your education, volunteering, leadership roles, all that stuff comes together over time to build your package for you. So it doesn't just start when you want to do it. It starts as soon as you get in.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Cadet Heath. I would just say really work on yourself as an airman. The whole airman concept, school, volunteering, being good at your job first and foremost is the most important thing. And also, I would say just apply. I mean, I personally know somebody from my old base that applied, and it seems like if you just build a good package and you turn it in on time and you do everything you're supposed to do, you have a good shot at getting accepted. Don't worry about how many awards you got or how many deployments, necessarily how high your GPA is. Just put together as good as a package as you can and see where it goes. You're always going to hear that big thing, let the Air Force tell you no. So I believe that's one of these situations. Let the Air Force tell you no. Everyone around on this table has different experiences. I never deployed. Twitty has. I don't know our GPAs or anything like that, but we all have a wide range of PT scores. Like, we all have different packages, but we all were accepted. So just apply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, the same old adage, no one's going to care more about your career than you. So when it comes to that information seeking, that's huge for this program because, again, there's not a lot of information out there. They used to have a whole web page for these programs, but when I was first applying, it was down, and I called the AFROTC headquarters trying to get information. It was a lot of me running around trying to find previous people that did the package, people that worked there. It was a lot of information seeking. So just take that into your hands. I've had people come up to me before I left, after I got accepted. There was a period of time I had to stay there before actually coming to the school, in which case they were asking me questions about the program, how do you do it, XYZ. But a lot of times they would ask me questions and then they'd be asking me the same questions week after week after week. It's like, hey, one, I can't build the package for you, and two, this is on you. So, if you need information, I'm here, but at the end of the day, it's got to be you putting in the work for the package. So
I think that's another big part of the package is seeing how well you can, if you can do this process properly by yourself and send up the correct things. I think that's really a big part of it, and I think that's something they're testing honestly on the board is who's able to actually want this and do it and turn it in and make sure it's right.
And one more, because it is kind of essentially hidden. Going back to what Cadet Robinson said, if you do put in, your chances are pretty high because, again, there's not that many applicants. Not many people are putting in because, again, they don't know about the program. So.
Yep. Anything else to add? Any more tips hit you guys? Yeah, please.
One.
Yeah.
Just a heads up. At AFROTC headquarters, my biggest problem after my application was done was figuring out where to submit it to. And there is, at the time when I was submitting mine, there was a staff sergeant. I don't remember her name, but there was only one person that you could contact that would tell you where to send the application to. I want to say it took me about 2 months to get in contact with her. Finally got her on the phone, and she gave me the email address, and I sent it up. I don't remember the email address. I would tell you if I did, but I don't remember it. But yeah.
Oh, actually, I have a story about that. So when it comes to the program, again, I was deployed.
Yep.
And when I was there, I was trying to get in contact with the people there, and they never answered their phone. I called literally probably over 100 times trying to get an answer because on the document they didn't. I think it was like backdated to like 2019. They didn't really update it, and one of the requirements for ASCP was having a score of like I think it was like 35 aptitude for the AFOQT or something like
I
that.
remember.
And I didn't have that. And so I was calling them trying to see if that was still a requirement because I'd seen people on the Facebook page like questioning, I don't think this is a requirement anymore, but no one really knew. So again, day and night, like every day out there, I was calling, trying to figure out like, hey, and eventually one night I was there again, like maybe 5 hours after work, and they actually answered the phone and I asked and they're like, oh yeah, no, that's not a requirement. And that's when I actually put in my package for ASCP to come here. Because POCRP didn't have an academic aptitude requirement, but ASCP said on the document it said they did, but they didn't, and so that was a huge thing. If they hadn't answered that phone, I probably wouldn't be here.
I am 100% positive I submitted my application. Like I remember seeing that on the checklist and not being able to find the right answer. I remember just submitting anyway. Like I tried. I was like, hey, we're just gonna see.
I do have something off that too, kind of on the time management tips side. For me, my group sent down a notice to everyone in the group saying, hey, if you want to do these programs, you need to submit your package to us by, it was like a week later from that point. So, and it said, this is what needs to be in it. And that was the first time I had gotten any sort of information from my leadership saying, this is what needs to be in your package. And I did not have everything perfectly ready to go within that week. So I was scrambling, trying to get things together, get signatures and everything done. So a little bit different for me, it sounds like, from you guys, is that I had to send it up early to them so the group could look over it. And then they submit it to the wing, and then they sent it up to wherever it had to go. But just getting everything ready, because for me, it came down very fast that, hey, we need this by this date so we can start approving it. And that was well before the date it actually had to be submitted because they wanted to look over it and everything. So just be ready for that date, maybe to be ahead of schedule than what it may say on a different form or something.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely didn't have that experience. Well, I did because I tried to go for SOAR, it was shot down. But I think it's definitely because of the level. So if you're trying to apply for this package, you have to look at what's the highest signature you need. For ASCP, you need your squadron commander. For SOAR, it was your wing. Yeah. For POCRP, it was your squadron, correct?
Yes.
So that's why Cadet Heath had to go through a different process. So that's just another big thing. You really have to start early and see how high these signatures have to go. Like my squadron wasn't necessarily huge, but it wasn't small either. So I was just able to hit my LT, hit the commander secretary, get an appointment, have a conversation, and he was willing to sign it right then and there. Obviously, with your wing commander, 9 times out of 10, unless you have a great relationship with him, that's just not how it's going to be. You're never going to be able to just walk into your wing commander's office and have a conversation to get your package sent up. So this really seems like the biggest tip from this application process is time management and start very early. Okay, so our last question with applying for the ECP scholarships will be, why did you choose DET 172? Why did you come down to Valdosta?
I chose Valdosta just because my dad has been in Valdosta my entire life. And right before I got accepted to the program, I had my daughter. So for me, it was just like coming home and being around family. So that's why I chose that 172.
Yeah, I chose it purely because my wife got stationed at Moody, which is just up the road from here. So when I decided to do this program, I went on Google and typed in Afratzi near Moody Air Force Base, and this popped up. That was it.
Yep. I chose Valdosta State, Valdosta in general, because it's cheap. To live here, I needed a way to just provide for myself, I guess you could say. So that's why I chose here. I did not want to go here, honestly. I was trying to go to like Atlanta or Florida, FSU down there, but I'm very grateful that it turned out like this. So it worked out.
So for me, both my parents actually worked or still work here at Moody Air Force Base. So it was kind of, free housing. Can't turn that down.
Yeah.
I will definitely say, though, that this detachment, I feel very lucky ending up here. For doing no research, really, and not knowing anything about ROTC, this is a very good place to end up. I'm just throw that out there.
For sure. It definitely worked out in the end. All right, so next, unless anybody has last minute tips or anything like that, anything you want to
I
add
think we
more about,
covered.
the application? Okay, just for everybody in the audience that may watch this, I'm definitely gonna provide everybody's emails in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description. If you want to reach out about the application, maybe even possibly get our application. I know I already have my application blacked out with like all my private information, so I'm ready to go. If anybody wants to email me and get it. So next, we're going to talk about our transition into Air Force ROTC, and how that experience has been, and essentially just cover everything that's around that bubble. So, Cadet Graham, you want to start? From how has your transition been from active duty to Air Force ROTC?
Yeah, so I'm currently in my second year in AFROTC. My first year was really hard, juggling school, work, family. It was really hard. I would say I didn't fully adjust until after my first semester, so that's about 6 months of stress. And then once I finally just, I don't know the word to say, once I finally just got a hold of everything and figured out how to manage everything, it was, I wouldn't say a breeze, but I feel like I fit into the program a lot better once that was figured out. My wife was active duty, and she had to get out and go reserves in order to follow me down here. So that was a big adjustment for both of us, financially and mentally. No one talks about it as much, but the transition from active duty back into the civilian world is a lot harder than it seems, especially when you have a family. Like Cadet Robinson said earlier, living in Valdosta is cheap. I wouldn't say very cheap, but it's cheaper than most places. I was originally looking at FAMU, and I was going to be cross town to Florida State, and that was my plan. But I looked at the housing, and it was way too expensive. And you're not getting paid unless you're tapping into your GI Bill. So I mean, you get a stipend from the school, but it's not enough to pay for housing. So yeah, I would just say that my transition was at first hard, but now I'm kind of just coasting by now. I'm working, my family's taken care of. You just have to figure out what works for you, and it'll work out. It all works out.
Yeah, for me, I think once I got accepted into SOAR, I kind of started to build that mindset. I knew this was going to be different. I didn't know exactly what to expect with ROTC, but I knew it was going to be different from active duty. So I started to build that mindset of how I was going to have to adjust. And so I felt like when I got here, it wasn't easy. There were some challenges, but I felt like I kind of hit the ground running because I had mentally gotten into that mindset ahead of time. So that transition wasn't too bad for me. Kind of what Cadet Graham said, there is the side of it that I didn't think about, maybe like financially. You don't get paid anymore unless you tap into your GI Bill. So that was kind of a reality check that, okay, my savings are now going down and I need to figure out, do I have time to work or what am I going to do? So that was probably a big thing, trying to figure that out and just adjust how I lived my life financially. And yeah, so I think it wasn't too bad for me. It's just kind of getting in that headspace, coming in here, knowing it's not active duty. It's not the same thing. So you have to adjust that or it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, good points, Heath. Yeah, I would have to agree with Heath. That was the biggest thing for me to get over with. Is just not active anymore. I mean, I went August 1st, I was active duty Air Force. August 2nd, I was Air Force ROTC cadet. And it was just like, man, it was just hard. I just didn't, looking back at it, I didn't realize how hard it was. Especially I was 250, so it was just everything was hitting you. It wasn't like I didn't struggle with drill. I didn't struggle with like verbiage. I didn't struggle with anything of that nature, the Air Force part. I just struggled with ROTC, just the environment. Everybody's 18, 19, 20. I mean, nothing wrong with that, by the way. They're great people, but it was just a little awkward. I felt a little out of place at some times. And yeah, it was just hard, especially I came to here down like by myself in a apartment. It was just got a little lonely. I don't know. And so it definitely took me a little while to adjust, especially after the first semester. Going into the second semester, I was just like, man, I got my class ranking back, to be honest. That was the adjustment. I got my class ranking back. I was middle third, probably lower middle third. And I was just like, man, what? I just felt disgusted. I was just like, there's just no way I just let myself, not really let myself, but yeah, let myself down like that. I was like, I just can't go for that anymore. So I came back and just hit the ground running. And then that was that little switch that helped. So it's hard. If you're active duty, wanting to apply for this, you really got to do what Cadet Heath said. Just come in more aware that it is different. You're not going to know how it's different until you get here. Obviously, you're going to be marching around and saying verbiage and all that stuff, but there's just something more behind it than just that.
Real quick, I just want to add on that before Twitty goes. You kind of said you got to start thinking about how you want to balance being older and being active duty and how you are interacting with the other cadets, because they are younger, some of them, and may not have the experience, and it can come off sometimes as maybe arrogant because we do have knowledge. We've done a lot of this before. We're a little older, a little more mature, so just trying to balance helping them and guiding them and not just being that person that's a know-it-all or better than anyone else, right? Just using that to help them.
Hold off, Heath. Hold off.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
Hold off. Yeah, your transition from active duty. You get into a good part. You're going deep. You're going deep. We're going to get there.
So, a lot to unpack here. So starting off, in terms of ASCP, so Cadet Graham, you did that program, right?
Yeah.
So just for clarification for anyone that isn't tracking these programs, it is a 3 to 4 year program. So Cadet Graham, he came in with that program, as he said, not credit. So he started off as a freshman. I started off in Cadet Robinson did as well as a sophomore, because we did have a little bit of credit. And so same program, but we did start off on different years. And the big difference with that is when you're a freshman, I mean, you have that, 2 years before you go up for like field training, your package and whatnot, while we had essentially 1 semester. So we kind of had to hit the ground running if we wanted to get picked up. That's the big difference with like also ASCP, the 3 to 4 year. Like if you do the 3 year route, just know you're competing like right off that bat. Going into the transition, so for me it was pretty different than probably you guys. So again, I had a lot of things that kind of lined up for me here when it came to, again, free housing. My parents were both here already, so that was already taken care of. My mom is also, considered 100% disabled, meaning if you guys are familiar with Chapter 35, I forget the official name, DEA. Yeah. Essentially, I get paid to go to school via that disability. So, and it's I think the rate is currently at like $15.74. So that's something also that I had in terms of income outside of, which in addition to the stipend that you get from the program. So, and before I even actually came here, like I actually got out a whole piece. So I am a finance major, but I got a whole piece of paper and started crunching the numbers as to how much money I'd be making. I actually tried to see if I could stack the GI Bill and Chapter 35. You can't.
Nope.
But
nope.
Right, I was definitely crunching those numbers to see how much I'd be making.
Yeah.
And so putting a lot in stocks and whatnot. But yeah, just the transition for me was pretty smooth. When it came to the AFROTC itself, it's a little different because again, you're taken out of the military, all your knowledge and experience, and you're starting again at day one. I've said this, and people kind of ask a lot, like, is it an advantage or a disadvantage?
That's a good point.
And what I'll say essentially is it can be both, because all your experience and whatnot, cadre, when they look at that, they don't stack you higher than anybody else. So they'll expect you to know more while not giving you the benefit of actually knowing more, if that makes any sense. Like you're racking stack the same as everyone else. They're not, your prior experience, they're not putting you above other cadets, but because of that prior experience, they do expect you to catch up faster and to know more. So like a double-edged sword. You do know more, but a lot more is expected of you while not getting that initial ranking.
Does anybody else want to speak on enlist, like if it's advantage or disadvantage? You brought up a good point, Twitty. How do you feel?
I feel like it's an advantage to an extent. You definitely have the advantage of knowing more when it comes to marching and drill and verbiage. Maybe not verbiage. Verbiage is just you kind of learn it when you get here. But marching, you're definitely ahead of the game just by being active duty already. You went through basic training. and you did that for 8 weeks in basic training. So you're already ahead of the game. Even if you don't remember it, once you see it and you hear it, it'll come back. But I just wanted to add something to the application process.
Yeah, good.
The paperwork side, the Air Force is always changing. It's forever changing.
Yes, it is.
But when we came in, the day that you separate from active duty, you have to contract into ROTC within 24 hours or your paperwork will not line up. That's something that I had to figure out the hard way. I came in to contract one morning, and our secretary, Ms. Morford, she got to looking at dates, and she said, "Hey, you can't contract until tomorrow morning because you're still technically active duty," because I was still on terminal leave. So the morning of my first day separating from active duty, I came in and contracted, but it has to be done within 24 hours in order for your paperwork to line up in AFROTC. I just want to throw that out there because a lot of people don't know that.
That's a good point. I think if it doesn't line up, I think you have to do DOBMERB over again. I can't speak on it. I'm pretty sure you could still come to the program. You're still a scholarship cadet, but DOBMERB's a big part. That's a big benefit of ECP. Just totally skipping that part. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah, there's definitely people who either did that same thing, they didn't contract the same day, or they just didn't get the Air Force Form 422. If you don't get that, you can go through DOBMERB. There is, I don't want to say strong, but there's a possibility that you could actually, that they find something new, or that you just get, I forget the word, but like you can't go through the program.
Just going back to like advantages, disadvantages, you brought up a great point that just the fact that we had to do the AFOQT in our packages and the medical. So coming here, we didn't have to worry about that. And just seeing how many cadets are stressed about DODMERB and that process and stressing about the AFOQT, the fact that we can just not think about that in its own way is an advantage, a small advantage at least.
I would argue a huge advantage.
Huge advantage, yeah.
Don't undershoot it. That's a huge advantage. That's probably the biggest. Well, other than your knowledge, that's a huge advantage. So I'm agreeing with everybody in the room about the advantages and the disadvantages. If you want to do this program, you just really have to come in with the mindset that like cadre expect more from you because you are in ECP. And I think I failed at. I was too stuck on that being a problem more than just accepting it and striving within that expectation. So that's a big thing. Just already be aware that you have that expectation of knowing more, just being better. You can't run around screaming, acting wild, acting like that high schooler that just came to the program. You're expected to have more professionalism. You're expected to already know your dressing appearance. You're expected to speak on active duty things. You're going to get called on in class. So just be aware of that. This is a little bit more expectation. And because of that, you also, they can't really, never mind. Go ahead, girl.
I would say an advantage that I kind of gave myself, I feel like, and I'm not knocking anybody's decisions in the room or whatever, but I feel like I gave myself an advantage. I want to say it was maybe third or fourth week, first semester we got here. Ms. Morford, our secretary, sent down a email to all of us saying, hey, you guys have the opportunity to drop your 100 year and go into your 200 year. Pretty much just skipping your freshman year. And I thought hard about it, and I think the biggest advantage I gave myself was starting off as a freshman, doing the entire 4 years, not trying to rush the process. And I think that if I would have went into my 200 year, I wouldn't have gotten an EA because I wouldn't have been able to compete with the people who are already in the program. They already had the knowledge of the program. The program is a totally different world than active duty. It's a different game that you have to learn. And I think I gave myself that advantage by just doing the entire 4 years. My freshman year, I was able to build relationships with my peers, the freshmen, the 100s I was with. And I think that allowed me to get out of my shell a little bit more and be myself. And everyone, got to know me for who I was. a little bit more FaceTime with cadre, but then that cadre staff left. So, yeah, but I think that's an advantage. You could give yourself if you just don't rush the process and you just do the entire 4 years. Everyone doesn't have to do it. If you're very high speed, by all means, drop your 100 a year if you feel like you can do it. But I definitely think I gave myself an advantage by doing that.
I mean, I'm a great person to speak on that. Actually, I came in as a 250 with Cadet Twitty, and I went up for PSP board last year, and I was not accepted for an EA. So I mean, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I don't know if something would have changed if I would have started. Well, obviously, I wouldn't have went up for EA, but I don't know what would have happened if I was a 100. But that is a good point. I think it is something you can juggle in your mind if you want to just come here. Everybody's different. Like got two sides of it right here. He was able to get an EA as a 250. I wasn't. So, there's everybody's story is going to be a little bit different. But that is another good point to juggle. Like, wasn't yeah.
Like I kind of said before, it's essentially the year of preparation versus that one semester, and even then you kind of don't have that whole semester because you're going to be figuring things out when you get there. So yeah, just make sure if that's the route that you choose, not to say it can't be done, just have that in mind because you do have to hit the ground running. Otherwise, you'll be left behind.
Yeah, for sure. And what did you get sent up with ranking as a 250 for the board?
Honestly, I do not know because I went in and I remember the ranking before that was, I think, middle third. I think I mentioned that to you. But then when I met with cadre after field training that semester, they told me the last one that I was like, I think they said top third. So maybe I was thinking it was like the previous one. So maybe I just heard them wrong from that first meeting. So
it sounds like fall you were middle and spring when you went spring you were top. Hey, this is our wing commander right now. I'm just saying he was middle. I'm just putting that out there. Hey, I'm just putting that out there. Yeah. Hey, I'm just saying it. Roll the dice and see what's gonna happen. But heed some advice. Any more active duty to Air Force ROTC kind of things you want to add?
I guess just like when Cadet Robinson said be better, he means more so probably like I'm assuming in terms of like the mentorship piece is a big one. So like cadre love to see prior enlisted impart their wisdom or their experience from active duty to the other cadets because that's stuff that otherwise, like if we weren't there, they really a lot of times wouldn't get. So just things like that, especially like one of the big things I tell them is like career field differences. Like so one career field, for example, mine in contracting, it's very business-like, it's very corporate. You're not going to get the same experience like in maintenance or something like that. So just understanding the difference in the career fields.
A little maintenance diss.
It's all right. We're good over here. We're good. We're good. Yeah, just to that, though, just got to be tactful in how you do it. Because when I got here, I know we were told by the 400s at the time, the senior class, there was a guy who was prior enlisted, and he told us don't be a know-it-all. Don't be that person that says, "Oh, I was prior enlisted. Listen to me, watch me, whatever." Be humble about it. Do it genuinely to help them. Don't do it just to show that you know more than them.
It seems like we want to transition into like tips for enlisted to ROTC and life in ROTC. So yeah, let's just start with that. Graham, any tips for any active duty people looking to come ECP?
I'm gonna backtrack to what he just said. My first semester was such a struggle for me. I was that guy that my flight thought was a know-it-all, and genuinely, I was just trying to help them, but I guess I wasn't doing it the right way. So, we would be out there marching. They're messing up bad, and I know the answer. And I would just tell them like, "Hey, do X, Y, and Z." And it got to a point where people were smacking their teeth. They were sighing. Every time I talked, they were like, "Oh, here's this guy. Here's this guy again."
Coming from an honor guard guy, you probably probably
so
sickening.
I was, because to me it was just so simple to me. But then I had to backtrack and realize that these cadets have never, or some of them have never had an experience with marching, and I was just very proficient at it. So it was kind of getting under my skin. My biggest problem now in the program is showing frustration. Sometimes I can't hide it, and I'm getting really good about it now. But showing frustration will definitely dwindle your relationship with your peers. If they can see that you're openly frustrated, most of the time they won't come to you. And as being prior enlisted, you want those people to come to you and ask you the question, because 9 times out of 10 you have the answer. I think now, being a 200, my biggest challenge is when we're in formation and someone's messing up, I now allow myself to sit back and let them figure it out, because I know I have the answer, and I don't want to give them the answer all the time. Yeah, I think that's the biggest tip I have. Just sit back. You're here because the Air Force saw you as a potential leader. So now you have to learn how to be a effective follower. And that was the biggest part for me, learning how to follow and lead when I needed to. So
Yeah, we'll come back to you, Graham, if you find anything else you want to say.
Yeah, that was pretty good point. I mean, I guess one thing I would say for advice would be, you'll see a lot of cadets here, especially when you get to your fall 200 year and you're competing for EA slots, trying so hard to get noticed, right? And so I think coming here, because you have that extra knowledge and that experience, don't try really hard to get noticed. Just let your experience and let your knowledge work for you, and just be genuine about it, and it will all work out. The cadre will notice it, whether you think they do or not. They'll see it, and it will benefit for you, and you'll get everything you need to be successful. But don't try to be the person that's getting all the attention, all the awards, all the recognition, because just let it come naturally. Don't try to force it.
I will say, while Cadet Heath is making a good point, and it's not really something you can do as a 250. I will say, going up for PSP and EA, you're not able to just float by. Obviously, I'm not saying go like kiss up to the commander and all that other stuff, but as a 250, you're really not able to just sit back and let cadre seed in you, I guess.
I would just say be genuine about it. You can tell when someone's being fake, right? And just doing it to get attention, and when someone's just genuinely actually cares.
As of 100, you're able to build up that relationship with cadre over time and get to the point where you are a Cadet Heath and you're a Cadet Graham, and they already know you. Hey, he's just sitting back and he doesn't want to run to the front because he knows it, kind of thing. They can get that vibe from you. But as a 250, maybe not. Like I said, obviously don't go up and try to kiss the commander or anything like that. I would say be who you are. I think Cadet Graham really just hit it on the head. Just, you got accepted to this program because of who you are as a person, because your commander saw who you are as a person. It doesn't even start at the commander, to be honest. It starts with your staff sergeant helping you build your package or your tech, and so they already see these qualities in you. They're not going to put you up for the package if they don't think you can be an officer. So that says a lot. And so does the board. The board is colonels. So they're not going to accept you for the program if they don't think you have the qualities to be officers. So come in, be who you are, be who you have been, and just keep working towards that goal, that end goal of commissioning.
Mm-hmm. So, and just to confirm, it's like tips for active duty coming into?
Yeah, just tips.
So the biggest thing that I would probably say is in dealing with cadets, and when I say that, I mean like the different personalities. Again, so I'm 26 right now. I was 25. I was turning 25 coming into the program. So you're dealing with people that are coming straight out of high school, people that have maybe been in college for a year. Their lifestyle and their experiences are very different from yours, in which case maybe the personality thing is also a big difference. Some people are more introverted, some people are extroverted. Some people, they're trying to, especially as a 250, like Cadet Robinson was saying, coming in, like you kind of need to stand out. Like it's one of the big differences. So it's very hard to juggle that as active duty coming in, where you have this wisdom and then you're trying to use it to stand out while also not trying to be a know-it-all. It's a hard balance.
Very.
So for me, I know a big thing was dealing with all those different personalities, and I am more on the introverted scale. So when it comes to like standing out and trying to be, that I took like kind of a different approach. Most of the stuff that I was doing was more in the background, if you would, changing processes or stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it is definitely a requirement, and you need to know how to navigate different people, their personalities, get to know them as well. So it's a delicate balance, but yeah, the big thing I would say is coming in this program, understand that, you're going to be dealing with people that are coming straight out of high school, and you can't judge them or act certain ways just because,
They're younger than you. Or,
Yeah.
yeah. Would you say this is like an introverted or extroverted program? Like, what do you think?
I would say, as a 100, starting off as a 100, it's a very introverted program. If you come in straight as a 250, it's very extroverted. You have to just put yourself out there. Advice that I do have, is be okay with failing. This is the perfect place to fail openly and not cost the Air Force money, time, or personnel. You can fail here, and everything here is just a learning lesson. I was really big on myself about failing. I didn't like failing. I didn't like the idea of failure. But then I got here and realized that I could fail here and try again tomorrow and just fix my failure. So just be okay with failing and be open with you have to be honest with yourself about your flaws and where you are in life. Because like Cadets Woody said, everyone here is way younger than you. And they're going to make fun of you. My nickname is Unk.
Yeah, I think everybody in this room is yeah.
So,
how old are you, Cadet Girl?
I'm 24. I turned 25 in May.
Exact same.
23. 26. Okay, yeah. Unks.
Yeah. So, just be yourself. That's the only thing I can tell you.
Be who you are.
Yeah, just be yourself, because it's no different than being active duty. When you go into basic training, you don't know any of those guys in that room. And you have to learn their personalities. You have to learn how to talk to everyone individually. So it's just it's no different than active duty in that aspect. But you do have to humble yourself a lot more in AFROSI, just because you don't want the things you do and say to come off very negative, and no one in the program likes you, because you won't have the credibility from your peers, and cadre will
notice that for sure.
Will notice that, and they won't put you up front to do things if you don't have that credibility already. So.
It's the same thing. You can't get through this program without working with your peers. Right. So if you think you can just come here, do it by yourself, and you could be the best cadet, 100 PFA, 4.0, but if you're not working well with others, you're bottom ranking, and it's just not going to work out. You have to work well with others, get along with your teammates, give them advice. That's what cadre expect from you coming in Enlisted Commission Program, is mentorship with a capital M. They expect you to do the right thing. They expect you to give good advice. You're not always going to be perfect, but they expect you to do the right thing.
Another big thing, something that I didn't know really coming into the program, it's completely cadet run. So cadre are there. They provide mentorship. They kind of guide, but the seniors are the ones essentially running the show. The POC are the ones that are providing the training, organizing the events. So, and that was a big realization for me. So obviously, they're going to do things certain ways. And when it comes to like having those relationships, especially, when you become POC and you're having to organize it yourself, you still need all those relationships. You're going to and again, it's also kind of reflective in active duty life, in which case there might be some people that, you don't get along the best with, in which case you still need to know how to work with them. Yeah. And so in that regard, but of course, better alternative is just, be on good terms with everybody.
Yeah, what's that saying? It's like, I guess it's not a saying, but you don't want to like burn bridges with people you got to work with for 4 years, 3 years minimum. You don't want to get into a crazy fight with somebody freshman year and then you're still arguing about it senior year. So be professional, I guess. Okay, Heath?
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I think that's all.
I feel like we have more tips. No more tips? Anything?
Man.
Anything hit you? I feel like things keep hitting me, and then I like Cadet Graham says something amazing, and then it just drops, and then that's what keeps happening.
I mean, I do have another tip more on the financial side.
Oh, yeah,
But
let's hear
I
it.
think those are always needed.
Yeah.
So, and this is something I ran to in the program, and the same thing on active duty side. So I had a friend when I was active duty who he was essentially putting all his money, in his checkings, and I talked to him for the longest about, putting that in a high yield savings or essentially doing something with it, stocks or whatever, because he had a lot of money just sitting in his checking account. And I came here in about, I want to say like a month ago. I was talking to another cadet, and they were essentially doing the same thing where they're not actually working, but like their parents and any money they get, they have a account that they put money in for savings, and they've accumulated a lot, even though they're, I don't know, 20, 18. But I essentially asked them, like, how much in the conversation. I don't even remember how exactly got there. He was asking me something about financial tips or something, and so I asked him, what interest rate was on his the account he was keeping the money in, and I think he either didn't remember or told me it was like a regular bank savings, which are usually like 0.05 or something like that. And so I really put him on high yield savings, stocks, whatever. And just talking to him a couple of days ago, he said that he's done that. So really makes me makes my heart good. So, but yeah, just in terms of tips, your finances. A lot of people, I know a lot of cadets here. When I was a POC member as a flight commander, some do have financial struggles, and so some people, might drop because they can't afford, whether it's tuition or whatever related to school. So just making sure that you're financially stable coming here, whether you're active duty or civilian, coming in the program, just get your finances right. There's usually always going to be something, especially for a general population, that you can do to improve that. And it'll be easy things, like I said, such as moving your money from your traditional bank savings to a high yield savings or S&P 500 when it comes to stocks. Like, there's a lot that you can be doing.
Yeah, I'm a finance major too. Yeah, that brings up a good point, though. I don't know if you're applying, you probably know, but if you get selected for one of these ECP programs, the ASCP, SOAR, or POCUP, you're no longer getting active duty pay or benefits. So, yeah, Cadet Graham said it earlier. You're only getting your GI Bill if you activate it in a stipend. So you really start planning early where you want to live, tuition costs, housing, how you're going to eat, just everything, because you're cut off immediately.
And you have to be in for 3 years to have 100% of your GI Bill, by the way.
Yeah.
I was a couple of days over.
Yeah. It's a lot of things. Start early. Any other tips?
Do you have anything you want to say? Yeah, I mean, this may lead us into another question, so I'm sorry if
Let's do it. We got
But I would just say, at least here, like, take advantage of the opportunities that you have. There's so many things that we get to do here, so many clubs, organizations, ODT trips.
What are ODTs?
I don't even know what it stands for, to be honest.
Officer development training.
Officer development training. Pretty much they're little, kind of like TDYs if you're active duty, right? They're like a little TDY, little trip. And they can range from a day trip to a 2-week trip. So it just depends. Take advantage of those summer programs, all of it, because there's a lot of cool opportunities here. And also, I would argue you'll always hear active duty as well, that volunteering doesn't impact your ranking or your
packages accordingly.
Yeah, packages. It shouldn't matter, but it does, right?
But
and
it
that's
does,
because I think the more time you spend volunteering, the more time you can build relationships, and the better relationships you have, the better you work with the team. The better you work with the team, the better you stand out. The better you stand out, the better you look to cadre, and just so on. It just helps you. So take advantage of those, because that's what helps you in this program, I think, as well.
Yeah, whole Emory concept applies heavily here still. Yeah.
Does that lead into another question, though, or is that...
I was going to want Heath to expand on his ODT just briefly. I mean, your summer trip, yeah.
Yeah, so every summer there are multiple ODTs that are available to cadets. It depends on what year you are. There's certain criteria, but you can apply. The cadre will send them out. You can apply. If you get selected, you can go do it. So this summer I had the opportunity to go do free fall out at the Air Force Academy for 2 weeks. It was an awesome program. Got to go out there on the Air Force's dime and learn to skydive and jump out of a plane. And yeah, it's a super cool opportunity. Met a lot of cadets from all over the country, and
You got a badge, right?
yeah, I got my jump wings.
Jump wings.
Yep, but I don't flaunt it like other people.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a maintenance guy. Jump wings. Yeah. No, I actually just now thinking about it. Yeah, I actually got another opportunity just being here. You Can Fly, which is $5,000 to fly a plane. I said it so monotone to fly a plane, but yeah, you get $5,000 to get flight hours, and that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I was able to go find a flight instructor, actually get behind the plane the first day in the plane. I flew it. I didn't take it off, obviously, but I was turning in and all that good stuff. I was able to get around 24-ish hours. It actually set me on a path to want to go rated, want to go RPA. So that's what the program is meant for. And it was really, really fun experience. And with flight hours, you get more points for your pilot score, your Pixum, something like that. Yeah, you get more points for your Pixum, so it also helps you in that area as well.
I would just say, what did you have something?
You can go.
Oh, okay. I would just say, you're gonna hear your 300s and 400s, and cadre even tell you, hey, you have time when you're a freshman. You have time to think about what job you want to do. Being active duty coming into AFROC, I would start thinking about that immediately, because we had to take the AFOQT to get here. But let's say you're like Cadet Robinson and you decide you want to go rated. You want to be competitive. So if you need to retake that, you need time to study for it, then just start thinking about that early. Me, I wanted to go rated, and I just kind of figured out, hey, I don't want to go rated, and I'm just going to go maintenance. I'm a maintainer by trade, so I think I'll just fit right into that environment. So just start thinking about that early. That was just a tip I had.
I was going to say, in terms of, so I've had a lot of opportunities that I honestly never thought about coming to really the university, the school. Coming out of active duty, the biggest thing for me in terms of feeling, bad, was like I went from feeling like I was actively working the mission, like I was doing things, and then I came here and I felt like, oh, well, now I'm on like a pause. That was kind of like my initial mindset coming in, like I'm just not doing anything, waiting until I finish. But there is so much that you can do, and it doesn't have to be AFROC related, like I said, university wise. So me, the big two goals that I kind of had coming into this program was essentially, commissioning and trying to get a business off the ground. And so coming in here, there were so many opportunities. They have business competitions. They have small business academies where you can, the university hosts things that you can do a lot. And in terms of AFROC, like we've met alumni that have been CEOs, that have been pivotal to different bases. So just taking advantage of all opportunities that exist within AFROC, your detachment, and the university itself. Like it's golden. There's so much that you can do. Don't think of it as just going to school. I never thought I'd have the opportunities that I've had.
No more tips. Everybody good? I guess, not I guess. Another question, kind of going more the lighter side. Maybe not. Let's just, if you could change something, a part of this whole process, part of coming here, if you could look back and do one thing over, or maybe multiple things, what would you do over?
I think what I would do over, I would have Cadet Twitty as a mentor my first 3 years. I completely blew through my money. I was not good at saving. And it wasn't until about a year and a half out that I kind of figured out how to save my money. And I got here, and I just wish I would have saved more money just because you aren't getting paid. I had to pick up a full-time job. A lot of cadets don't have to, but I've been working full-time since I've been here, so that's another struggle. But yeah, just saving money, being more financially responsible.
Yeah.
What's the question again? Sorry.
If you could change something, what would you change?
I can't think of anything I would change in terms of the process of getting here, or since I've really been here too much. But I guess one thing I would say is if I could go back to the beginning of last year when we started, I would probably try to enjoy the time when things I would enjoy the time when things weren't very fun, right? Like if we had, maybe it's an early PT, or maybe, there's some programs, some clubs here that I was a part of ROTC that were difficult at times and required a lot of time outside of your normal schedule, and that can get really draining and stuff. But I think looking back, I wish I would have enjoyed it a little bit more because those were fond memories, and I just wish in the moment I would have not seen it as an extra thing or, you know, a waste of time maybe, or just a hindrance, but more of just enjoy it, because I know once we go back to active duty, hopefully, that I'll look back and say, wow, I wish I was back there having that fun time, because you still are a college student. And so for at least me, and I think all of us, we didn't have that college experience. We didn't get that going straight out of high school to college. So this is kind of our college experience. And so I remind myself to be a college student, enjoy it, have fun, because we're surrounded by 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are doing that. So enjoy it and kind of get that experience as well. Yeah.
You go first.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think I have something for.
For me, coming in, I would say taking more advantage of the relationships here. So, like I said, you need them. There was always a lot I was doing, in which case, you know, sometimes there are excuses, but I could have went out more and tried to be with the other cadets more in terms of, you know, like going out events or some of the ROTC hosted ones like Cadet Youth was talking about. Because again, when you do commission, like depending on your career field, of course, the base you go to, you're not going to have many other officers with you. You're going to have maybe, you know, at least the unit that I was in, we had 4. So you're not going to have a lot of peers constantly surrounding you. But in this environment, with everyone that's all trying to be an officer, like the amount of connections that you can make here at the detachment or wherever, you know, detachment you go to are, you know, enormous considering to what you're going to see when you actually go active duty. So just take advantage. I wish I took advantage and got to know more cadets.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I really have something. I mean,
No regrets.
I have regrets, but I feel like everybody else hit on it. So it's like, yeah, I'm good. What has been your favorite part about Air Force ROTC?
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part is being able to just be a college student. Not having to worry, not saying that, you know, I didn't enjoy it when I was active duty, but not having to worry about, you know, the job itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In active duty, you have one goal, and that's to do your job and do it well. Here, you can do a million different things. And I just think the best part about it is just being immersed in the college atmosphere. I mean, everyone here in the program is pretty much younger than me, but I enjoy spending time with them. They make my life more exciting. You know, I work, I go home, I'm a dad, but when I'm at ROTC, I'm at, you know, PMT events, I'm in a different world, and I'm able to, you know, spread my wings and be myself a little bit more. So,
Yeah, it's kind of to that point refreshing to see young people, younger than us, who are that excited to go join the Air Force. Because I think when you're in the Air Force, it can start to, you get tired, you get worn down, you kind of forget why you're there and everything. So seeing that a bunch of people who are really excited and really advocating and trying to get into this career field, into this military, is encouraging. I kind of hit on it earlier. I like, probably my favorite thing is the opportunities.
Yeah.
Just getting to do cool things. There's so many opportunities if you're just willing to seek them out and put in a little extra effort to do them, then there's some really cool things you can do. So
I feel like you guys kind of hit on what I was going to say as well. Yeah, the grind is a little bit slower. I mean, it's still hard. It's still a lot of work, but the grind is definitely a little bit slower coming from active duty.
it's different. It's a different type of grind.
Yeah, it's a different type of grind. That's a better way to put it. It's a different kind of grind. I feel like active duty, you know, you're juggling your Air Force career. You're juggling all the stuff you have to do outside of your Air Force career, and then you're juggling family life. Right now, I feel like I can just focus on my classes in ROTC instead of the other 20 things surrounding being active duty Air Force. So it's a different grind, and I kind of like it. Enjoy the time.
Just to recall the question.
What do you enjoy?
So I would have to say the same thing as Cadet Heath. Essentially, the opportunities that you get. Again, that is like, they won't be big if you don't take advantage of them. Like, that's the biggest thing. Go to the events. Again, not just after ROTC. Look to see what the school has to offer. There's a ton out there. So that's been the highlight for me. Like, all the different people I've gotten to meet, all the different activities I've gotten to do. Just that's the highlight for me.
I will just say this, just to hit back on what I said. Enjoy being a college student. You go to basketball games for free, football games for free. You know, just embrace yourself in the environment. There's always a million things going on campus. Even if you don't have time, just try to catch a couple of them. It'll just make you feel more as a person. In active duty, there's the picture is so big that you forget how to be a person sometimes. But here you can 100% be a person the entire time you're here. And just take advantage of the opportunity, really. You're put here for a reason, and don't let anybody tell you that it's easy. Nobody, because it's not easy at all. It's just a different world. So everything has its own challenges, and this one definitely has a group of challenges of its own.
And something that I'd want to touch on just from a POC standpoint. So if you go through like POCRP, that's essentially what you're going to be coming in as a POC. You still have to go to field training, but you come to that phase. Make sure you're tracking, or at least look into the detachment in terms of how big it is. Like, is it medium, small? So right now we're looking at a pretty small POC number. I think probably the smallest we've ever had. But just understand that it can get real difficult in terms of managing. Like, if you have, I don't have a family right now, but I mean, I can't imagine if you're highly ranked in the POC, staff structure, and you have a family and you're trying to do, work, and you got school, like it can all add up and stack on top of each other. So just be tracking that it does get difficult.
Does like time management help with that? Well, obviously, you like just the POC part, I would say.
Mm-hmm. It definitely does help. There's going to be things that so, I mean, for me, usually, as you guys know, they have seniors for the top rankings. It's a transition because there wasn't much that I got. So I came in here one semester, went to field training, did one semester, and the next wing commander. It's kind of like, it's a big jump in terms of like head spin for like all the different things they have to do. Like, you get a lot of taskers from cadre, even if, just being POC, a lot of them, they have like a top 5 chain they'll send out to everybody. There's lots of taskers that are constantly coming, constant events. Like, as you guys know, we had Dr. Lucy Green, and we had, Stuart Parker. There's lots of things going on, like behind the scene, or events that are being set up. So it's just time management helps. But I mean, as you know, you can't do everything yourself. It's a lot of delegating and relying on your peers to also do things. But when you have a peer shortage, it's also like, okay. But time management, it helps, but you need to be highly, lean on others. You cannot do it alone.
I think you brought up a good point, though, for anyone listening to this that wants to do ROTC, wants to do the ECP program. Not every DET is the same, right? So we have a smaller DET, so we all know each other very well. We get a lot of, I don't want to say FaceTime, but we see our cadre a lot, and I think there's a very open door policy. If you need to talk to them, that's available. Not every detachment is like that. Take Embry-Riddle. I got to go visit there, and they have hundreds of cadets. It's going to be a different environment, right? It's going to be probably not as much FaceTime with cadre. They may not know as much about you and what you're trying to do and your goals. You may not know your POC as well. So just something to keep in mind. Not every place is exactly like this. So,
yeah. I just wanted to go back and touch on Cadet Twitty about trying to manage that family aspect. It's not easy, but it's just, you can manage it, and that's just based on how resilient you are and who you can go talk to and mentor you. Sometimes everyone needs to vent, and I found out that venting is the best way to relieve stress. It could be something super simple like, hey, we just got screamed at for 2 hours straight at lead lab, and I'm stressed out. And I would just, the person I vent to is my dad. I could talk to my dad about anything. So, You know, I'll go vent to my dad, and instantly after I get that off my chest, it's like a reset. I vent to my wife. I mean, just talking about it openly, having that conversation and understanding what went wrong and how you can fix it would be the change of everything. It's not easy though. Having a family, you have to juggle, you know, going home and you have probably more responsibilities at home than you do in AFROSI. But just finding that balance and having a support system. You have to get everyone on the same page. This is not about, you know, what I could do in the moment, because for me, I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm here doing this to set us up for X, Y, and Z. And I came here to progress in my career. And if you don't have that support system, it'll be very, very stressful for you. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine having like some of the stressful days I've had and then going home and just being like having to
Baby running around.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god.
Oh, I mean, let's see.
This chair is falling apart on me.
Yeah,
I can hear screws falling out.
Yeah, we're already at 1 hour and 10 minutes. I feel like we covered a good bit.
Really good.
Yeah, trying to think, anybody else like throw in questions or something? I mean, it's weird because we could sit here for probably hours, talk about tips and like
I do
could help.
have something I just want to add.
Yeah.
If you are watching this podcast and you've thought about commissioning, you thought about being an officer in the Air Force, or maybe even a different branch, the one question you need to ask yourself is, well, ask yourself 2 questions. What am I doing this for, and what do I want to get out of it? I ask myself that constantly, and the answer I come to is, I came here to progress in my career, so my number 1 is progressing in my career. My number 2 is, what do I want to get out of it? I believe, this is just my opinion, that we live in a country that is completely free, and my heart is with protecting that. Yeah. So when you commission, you're going to be leading people who you're not necessarily going to be doing a job, but you're sending these people to do a job to protect our freedoms. And that's what I lean on the most, just developing myself as a person to lead those people into whatever may come. So just ask yourself that question. What do you want to get out of this? And, you know, I forgot what my second question was. A lot of good stuff. Just ask yourself those questions.
It seems like you just need a strong why, is what you – a strong why.
For sure.
Because you can definitely for our active duty people listening or prior enlisted, you know, you definitely hear, I want to be an officer to get paid more, or I want to be an officer so I can make all the decisions and everybody has to listen to me. And nobody in this room feels that way. We definitely have the same sentiment as Cadet Graham. We definitely just want an opportunity to another opportunity to lead, another opportunity to fight our nation's wars, and that's what Air Force ROTC has really provided for us. No. All right. Yeah, that wraps up our podcast. Do we have any last minute words from our guest?
Good luck on your process.
Yeah, he's going to put our emails in here, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So reach out if you have any questions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Just good luck with the process. Start now, start early. It's really fun. Just do it. Put in the package and come down to DET 172.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Come down to DET 172. Everybody in this room is going to be a PLC next year, so it's going to be real fun. And we'll get you right.
Mm-hmm. I'm good.
All right.
All right. I just want to thank Cadet Graham, Cadet Heath, Cadet Twitty for coming to this podcast, and yeah, that is it. DET 172 out.